Listen closely now and understand the insidious nature of the threat we face. It hides within the deepest channels of the human body, silently transforming normal tissue into something malignant, something that consumes. We are speaking of colorectal cancer, the third most common cancer diagnosed in the United States, yet one of the most preventable if caught early. But it is its silence, its ability to creep through years without announcing its presence, that makes it truly terrifying. Imagine a slow, biological countdown occurring in the dark confines of your lower digestive tract, a countdown that culminates in a devastating reckoning. This is not a distant concern. This is an ever-present internal danger that demands your absolute, unwavering attention. Allow the gravity of this information to settle upon you. We begin our journey into the dread, examining exactly what this invisible enemy is and how it gains its lethal foothold. At its origin, this sinister process often begins as nothing more than a polyp, a small, usually benign clump of cells forming on the inner lining of the colon or rectum. Harmless, perhaps, for a time. But these polyps, particularly the adenomatous type, carry the potential for a catastrophic shift. Over the span of 5, 10, perhaps 15 years, driven by genetic mutations and environmental stressors, these cells begin to divide uncontrollably, escaping the biological controls that govern life itself. The polyp becomes dysplastic, then ultimately malignant, invading the deeper layers of the bowel wall. It is an act of betrayal by your own biology, where growth becomes synonymous with destruction. Understanding this transformation, the subtle, slow transition from benign protrusion to aggressive tumor, is the first step in confronting the beast. This is where vigilance must begin, inspecting the architecture of the gut for these subtle signs of impending chaos.
The true terror lies in the subtlety of the warning signs. Because the tumor often grows quietly, the symptoms are easily dismissed, masked by the mundane discomforts of everyday life. Be warned, persistence is the key identifier. If you experience persistent changes in bowel habits, diarrhea or constipation that lasts for weeks, do not rationalize it away. If your stool exhibits blood, whether bright red or dark tarry black, this is a clarion call that should fill you with immediate dread, demanding investigation. Unexplained severe fatigue that no amount of rest can cure is another signal, often caused by internal bleeding leading to anemia, draining your life force slowly, imperceptibly. Abdominal discomfort, cramps, gas that never truly resolves, or a feeling that your bowel doesn't empty completely after passing stool, these are the whispers of the disease seeking to establish dominance. To ignore these signs is to grant the darkness more time to solidify its hold. These are not inconveniences. They are distress signals from the deepest parts of your physical being.
We must now confront the choices we make, the lifestyle habits that feed this hidden adversary. Your diet acts as a direct fuel source, either nourishing health or incubating disease. The excessive consumption of red and processed meats, saturated fats, these things have been strongly linked to increased risk. They foster an environment of chronic inflammation within the colon, creating fertile ground for cancerous mutation. Couple this with a sedentary existence, a life of inaction where the digestive system slows, prolonging contact between potential carcinogens and the delicate lining. Obesity itself is a profound risk factor, disrupting metabolic pathways and increasing inflammatory cytokines. Furthermore, the regular excessive intake of alcohol and nicotine acts as a systemic poison, weakening the body's defenses and accelerating cellular damage throughout the gut. You are actively participating in your own vulnerability when these behaviors persist. This isn't merely about quality of life. It's about acknowledging the destructive power these habits hold over your cellular destiny.
Beyond personal choice, there are factors that lie outside the realm of your control, inherent vulnerabilities woven into your biological fabric. Age is perhaps the most significant. The incidence of colorectal cancer rises sharply after the age of 45, though the necessity for screening begins at this milestone. As the years accumulate, cellular repair mechanisms become less efficient, and the window for mutation widens inexorably. But even more chilling is the specter of genetics. If a first-degree relative, a parent or sibling, suffered from this disease, your own risk escalates dramatically. Hereditary syndromes such as familial adenomatous polyposis, or FAP, and Lynch syndrome, while rare, place individuals at an extraordinarily high, predetermined risk, often requiring intense and immediate surveillance starting in their early 20s. This is the hand of fate, the genetic blueprint that predetermines a potential struggle. Knowing your family's history is not simply academic curiosity, it is a life-saving imperative that dictates the speed and intensity of your required vigilance. Do you know the lineage of your risk? Find out now.
If there is one act of self-preservation that must be elevated above all others, it is screening. The colonoscopy is the gold standard, the most powerful tool in our arsenal against this hidden enemy. It is a necessary, albeit intimidating, procedure that allows a direct visual inspection of the entire colon. This test is unique because it is both diagnostic and preventative. It doesn't just look for cancer, it actively removes the precursor polyps before they ever have the chance to turn malignant, snuffing out the threat before it truly ignites. The preparation is unpleasant, yes, involving a total cleansing of the bowel, but that brief discomfort is a small price for the assurance of life. Do not let fear or false embarrassment dissuade you from this essential surveillance. Ignoring the opportunity for early detection is a gamble with stakes too high to comprehend. A screening colonoscopy, when performed routinely, can effectively eliminate the vast majority of colorectal cancer risk. Embrace the unpleasant process, for it is the doorway to safety.
While the colonoscopy remains the definitive intervention, we must acknowledge that reluctance often prevents timely screening. Fortunately, less invasive alternatives exist, offering easier entry points into the detection process. The fecal immunochemical test, or FIT, is a simple, non-invasive method that looks for microscopic traces of blood in the stool, blood that is often invisible to the naked eye, indicating potential polyp or tumor activity. If a FIT test comes back positive, it serves as a critical red flag, strongly necessitating the full colonoscopy investigation. Furthermore, advanced DNA stool tests like Cologuard search for specific genetic mutations shed by cancerous and precancerous cells. These tests are vital for those who simply refuse the invasive procedure. However, a critical distinction must be made. These tests are designed to detect disease, not prevent it. They cannot remove polyps. They are essential detectors, but if they flag an issue, the inevitable confrontation with the colonoscopy must follow. Use these tools as early warning systems, but know that the final confirmation and curative action requires deeper commitment. If detection is delayed, the disease progresses through definable, increasingly terrifying stages. Stage 1 is localized, confined within the inner walls, highly treatable, nearly curable, but the clock is ticking rapidly. By stage 2, the cancer has invaded the muscle layers, breaching the wall but not yet spreading to the lymph nodes. Stage 3 is the pivot point, where the malignancy has metastasized to the regional lymph nodes, signaling that the cancer cells have begun to utilize the body's transportation network. This stage drastically reduces the prognosis, introducing systemic risk. Finally, stage 4, the irreversible spread. Cancer cells have traveled through the blood or lymphatic system, establishing deadly colonies in distant organs, the liver, the lungs. At this point, the fight shifts from cure to containment, from eradication to prolonged, difficult management. Every missed symptom, every delayed screening appointment, pushes the battle closer to this terminal reality. Understand that early detection ensures you fight a localized skirmish. Late detection forces you into a brutal, often unwinnable global war against your own body. Once the diagnosis is confirmed, treatment often begins with surgical intervention, the brutal necessity of physical removal. For early-stage disease, this might involve a local excision, removing the tumor and a margin of healthy tissue. But for larger, more established tumors, a partial colectomy is required, the physical removal of a significant section of the colon, followed by the reconnection of the healthy ends. This is major, life-altering surgery, often requiring months of difficult recovery. In some devastating cases, particularly involving rectal cancer or extensive lower colon involvement, a colostomy may be necessary, diverting waste into an external bag, permanently altering the patient's existence. The surgeon's knife is the sharpest, most decisive tool in halting the physical spread, yet it is a deeply aggressive measure.
It represents the ultimate confrontation, where the tumor is violently expelled, sometimes leaving behind a profound physiological and psychological toll on the survivor. For those facing higher stages, systemic treatments are mandated. The introduction of chemotherapy and radiation, poisons designed to hunt down and kill cancerous cells wherever they might hide. Chemotherapy is a body-wide assault, a toxic chemical bath targeting rapidly dividing cells. It is indiscriminate, causing immense side effects as it ravages healthy tissue alongside the tumor. The nausea, the exhaustion, the loss of hair, these are the visible markers of the internal war being waged. Radiation therapy, often used for rectal cancer, focuses high-energy beams to destroy tumors locally, burning the malignancy out, but also damaging surrounding organs. These treatments are acts of desperation, harsh necessities deployed when the cancer has escaped its physical boundaries. They demonstrate the sheer intensity of effort required to salvage life from advanced disease, proving that fighting this killer is not merely a medical challenge, but an endurance test of the human spirit against overwhelming chemical and physical forces. The most effective battle against colorectal cancer is fought not in the operating room, but in the choices you make every single day. Prevention is the truest form of power. Shift your diet towards one rich in fiber, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, which aid rapid transit and minimize the contact time for potential toxins. Limit severely your intake of red and processed meats. This is a non-negotiable step toward reducing inflammation. Commit to regular physical activity. Even 30 minutes of moderate exercise daily can dramatically reduce risk by improving digestive efficiency and regulating insulin levels. Furthermore, avoid the systemic toxins, cease smoking immediately, and moderate alcohol consumption to the bare minimum. These steps, while seeming simple, create a biological environment hostile to the formation of polyps and malignancy. Take control of your variables. Do not rely solely on the intervention of medicine. Rely first and foremost on the disciplined vigilance of your daily self-care. It is your right and your responsibility to build this internal defense. We have illuminated the darkness, tracked the silent killer from its origins as a small polyp to its ultimate, devastating metastasis. The truth is stark, and the stakes are life itself. Colorectal cancer is a formidable foe, but it is not an unconquerable one. Early detection through screening, particularly the pivotal colonoscopy, is your greatest shield. Do not succumb to fear, nor fall victim to complacency. Be vigilant regarding your body's subtle warnings. Speak to your physician about screening immediately if you are 45 or older, or if your family history dictates an earlier start. Your life is an asset worth fighting for, worth investigating, worth defending with every tool at your disposal. The danger is real. The time is now. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more updates on critical health information and preventative strategies that could save your life. Your internal security depends on your action.